Welcome again to another episode of the Virgin Divides podcast. I'm yet again excited to bring you our guest here today. Kerri Ann Ronquist is my spirit animal. She is who I want to be like, and she is just this amazing ball of energy, doing all the amazing things that she does, and she's just absolutely amazing. We've known each other for maybe a little over a year now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Met through BNI, as a lot of our guests have been through BNI. Just goes to show the power of networking. And really a big reason why I started this podcast was because I was meeting all these people that I wanted to be like. And I was just like, man, if I could just put this on camera and everybody else can hear all the amazing stories and everything. And Kerri Ann, I've wanted to interview her for a while. We've tried, coordinating things, and she's just so busy and just doing such amazing things. So she is the owner of All About You Placement.
Yes.
For placing seniors where they need to go at that time of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
If they choose to stay in their home, then that's
okay too.
Also where you help coordinate everything that's needed for that as well. So it's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, just because I told you about my grandma, and she was deathly afraid of going into a home because of all of the things the horror stories that she's heard, and fear of not seeing family again and all those other things. And so I just love what you do, and I'm super excited to talk about it with you today. So
well, I'm honored by your introduction, because I don't know about all of what you just said, but I'm honored by your words, because I feel very equal to you in that same respect, because in our conversations that we've had, it's wonderful to be business owners and be able to get together and have real conversations. And we've done that. And you've helped me see things in different perspectives than, helping me see things differently so I can grow. So I appreciate you just as much. So I can imagine that everybody that has been on this podcast with you feels the same.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Thank you. So
No,
you have a lot to offer all of us. But yeah, so All About You is my baby. It's my heart. It's what I get up and am so honored and blessed and proud to do every day. It's not easy. Some days are really challenging, but even through those challenges, if you love what you do and you're based in the passion of what you do, then it makes it a lot easier to face your fears, like doing this today, and just getting out and growing a business.
Yeah.
And so All About You has really morphed over the years. It was just me for about 5 years. Yeah, about 4.5, 5 years.
Yeah.
And then the heavens above, and I'm a woo-woo person.
Hey,
so
I'm with you on there.
Yeah.
We've talked about that on here. So
the heavens above just decided that it was time. And I tend to be a little more of a cautious person. I overthink things, everything in my world all the time. And I didn't get a chance to overthink the growth. It just happened, and it snowballed. And it started with a gal that came on to help myself be able to try and grow, because I hate technology and spreadsheets are just not my thing.
Same.
And when you're growing a business, you need to have all of that stuff. And so she came on with me to do that. But then she started to love what we were doing out in the field. And that just kind of started me realizing that I can have people that have the same heart and the same why.
Yeah.
I just have to open my heart and my world, and those people will come.
Quick question on that. So, because that I think is a big question for anybody that wants to run a business. Like you started on your own and you get out and you hustle, and it comes to a point where it's like, well, if I want to keep growing, I have to bring on somebody else. Yeah. But then it can be hard to kind of let people in. Like how did you kind of overcome that hurdle of letting somebody into this kind of sacred place that you had?
Well, like I said, it started out as a need first because like growing the business to me meant growing a passion, meant growing a journey that I saw in front of me of a mission that I have and I still do.
Yeah.
And so I knew that to grow it the way I wanted to, I couldn't do it by myself. And it started with needing somebody to help me, like office wise, you know, like get organized and all of that. And I would love to say that I planned this growth. I did not. It just came. And I had to have enough faith in what I'm doing and what my mission is and know that I have to dig in and do the hard work consistently, that this growth was going to be okay. It's going to be uncomfortable because it has been uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It has been challenging. It has been scary. It's brought me to tears. It's brought me to smiles and all, like just it, the span of everything it could be is what it is. And I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart to get where I wanted to go, I couldn't do it by myself. And I've made mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've actually, like, I honor those mistakes. Like mistake is probably not the word I want to use because people aren't mistakes. Like there has been people that have come on board with me that I've learned so much from. And I pray that they've learned from me also and our mission, that it wasn't a mistake. It just ended up not being a good fit. And it ended up being that it just was something, you know, like that saying, season, reason, you know, people come in your life for those things.
100%. I'm a full believer of, and I've said this many times, where I think that God puts specific people in your life at a specific time for a specific reason.
Yes.
However short that might be.
Yes.
And then you kind of look back kind of from an aerial view, if you will, at kind of your life. I was just talking to my wife about this.
Yeah.
And how it seems like kind of he puts kind of these pieces in place where you're just like, oh my gosh.
And you don't realize it till you look back.
Oh, 100%.
And then you're like, that was needed. Like the gal that came on with me at the beginning, she was so precious and needed for me as I allowed her to come in for a certain purpose. And she taught me that other people can come and have the same passion about what my mission is and the heart and because I just thought nobody's going to do this like me. Nobody's going to understand why I do what I do. And she did. And she got it. And she proved to me that I could teach her, she could teach me, she could get out there and love on the families and be passionate and be present and be on their journeys with them to help them. And her reason was different than mine, but we were aligned. Her reason was she was going through a journey of her dad having Alzheimer's and had this big, beautiful heart and really didn't know where this was going to go, and came on to do spreadsheets and ended up doing something completely different. And she showed me that there are other people out there that I can trust to come in and do this, because I do this because of my dad, because of my mom, because of my family, because of what we went through. And it was like, okay, I had to realize that my why is my why, but my passion, my vision is what other people will come on board to grow with me, but they're also going to grow it because of their own why.
Yeah.
Like I had to learn that our collective why, like my team now, our collective why is so strong that it's so cool when we're together as a group, people see it. Like when my team and I are together, they know that each person has their own individual heart why.
Yeah.
You know, because that to me is the most important thing. Somebody's why is going to get us as a team and me and them individually through the tough times to get where we want to go.
100%.
And I can teach them how to do this. Sandy, my partner, who is one of my best friends in my entire life. She literally took a huge pay cut and a huge chance to come on board and help me. And I am forever indebted to her for doing that. And she is helping me and the team grow our passion, where we want to be.
Yeah, I love that.
And so everyone on my team, everyone has their why, and we can teach them how to do what we need them to do to properly help families. We can help them through the certifications that we feel they need to have to properly be a part of seniors' lives and their families when they need help. And so we can teach them all those things, and we can help them through all that. But if they don't have that true why, if they don't have that center, that heart, that caring, then I can't teach that. And right now, the people I have it, and when we're together, people see it and they feel it, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah, it's a force to be reckoned with. I think that that's important for anybody out there, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you're doing something that is like very, very near and dear to your heart. Like this is very, very important, and it whether you're doing something like that or whether you have, I don't know, pest control business. We just had an episode with Corey. Awesome episode. We'll put the link to that one in the description. But the passion though is still there. The passion to do a good job, the passion for the people that you have around you. Are you willing to put other people first, to give them value in what it is that you're doing, and I think that this is how it's been for me, is that if I don't have that deep-seated passion for what it is that I'm doing, my efforts are not sustainable.
Yes.
I can't keep going.
No.
Because in those times where I'm like, this sucks.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that you've had those moments where it's like, even though this is very important to you, like there are parts of it that just blow.
Oh, I've said I give more times than I want to admit. Like I can't learn anymore. I can't do anymore like that. Like I can't. And I let myself say it and have my poo-poo pants on, and then I get myself together and I put on my big girl pants and I'm like, no, like, okay, get over it, get over yourself, just feel that, get it over with, and now figure it out from here. Yeah. Because it just means more than that moment. And it's not easy. And especially, well, I can't say especially because I think it's that way for any business owner, anybody that's growing. I mean, our growth, it was just me 2 years ago, and now there's 7 of us, and it's like insane. Wow. And we're continuing to grow in spite of me. Oh, gosh. I mean, because, again, having the people that you trust with you is really important, because in every industry, there are bad actors. In every industry, there are people that may shed bad light on the things that you're doing, and you have to get over that. You have to do double the work to get people to really understand that you're not that, and especially when you're dealing with a fragile population. And seniors, I've met some of the strongest seniors. I've met 100-year-olds that are so powerful, but they're still fragile, and so, and in the situations we deal with are fragile situations that usually we are coming into people's lives because there is a need. And that means somebody that someone loves has a need that maybe the family doesn't understand how to fulfill. So it's not just the senior that we're working with. We're working with their families. We're working with, grandkids and all these people that are impacted by this senior's need and their fragility, and how are we going to be present for them? And how are we going to help them? Yeah. And unfortunately, in the senior arena, there are a lot of folks that don't have that heart, that don't mean well, and that it's all about the money for them. And you and I have talked about
Yeah,
this,
uh-huh.
and I'm fine. You know what? I if somebody is doing the right things for the right reasons, has a heart, is not taking advantage, my team and I are going to support them, and I hope they make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Because if they do, then they're going to continue to do more and more good things.
Right.
I know that's a bad sentence, but that's how I feel about
No,
it.
but I'm 100% with you that I think that, and we've talked about this plenty of times, you guys know, where you need money for the mission.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't be able to grow to where you're
No.
at if there were not funds coming in.
Exactly.
And so, but again, money is a multiplier. It will multiply someone's goodwill, and it will multiply someone's douchiness,
Yes.
for lack of a better term.
Good word.
I'm sure there's a better term out
Yeah.
there.
No,
but,
that's fine. I appreciate that word.
But you get it though.
Yeah.
Is that it? And I've seen that so many times where there are people like that, and I wrote down here on my remarkable. I just got it for Christmas. I just love this thing. Sorry, I'll stop talking about it, but just for a second, it's like writing on paper. Like, okay, I'm not even joking, but like, because like I would take notes like on my phone, and I was telling you about this. I would text, or it looks like I'm texting, and so like people would like they think I'm checking out of the conversation, and so I'm like I need something that's like a happy medium. And anyway, this is not like sponsored by Remarkable or anything.
You
but
never know.
if you guys haven't, like, I'll put a link. Okay, I'll just so you check it out. Okay, but the thing I wanted to touch on was overcoming that bad reputation that other people have kind of established, because that was one of the things that when I started networking, that was something that was weighing on me, is that I saw all these business owners and everything, and I'm like, man, is that how you need to do business? And so, here comes BNI, and they're like, we want to change the way the world does business. And there's this huge 300,000 people or whatever that are in BNI worldwide in 70 something countries. It's amazing. But it's where I found a lot of people like yourself that don't want to operate in that way.
No.
And I found that it's actually detrimental to operate that way.
I mean, and for us, so in Arizona, obviously, it's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
And people are not getting on planes to go to, I'm not going to say a specific state because I don't want to offend anybody, but they go
we can
other
offend them. That's all right.
places that maybe snow a lot or rain a lot or are cold. So seniors are coming to Arizona to retire, and more and more.
Right.
So we're kind of in this, probably the next 10 years, senior tsunami of sorts. And so the seniors are going to be coming, and they are coming because of the weather, because we have a lot of resources for them to live their best lives. So that's what it's about. So with that, folks that do, so we're placement agents. I've heard all these other things that are out there about what it is that we do, but we do other things because I'm also a board certified patient healthcare advocate. I'm a certified senior advisor. I'm a certified dementia practitioner. Anything that I can do to make sure that I just don't say the words, but I back it up by the training.
It gives you more clout.
Well, and you know what? For me, I feel like I need to honor my families by going that route and doing everything I can to really be able to stand with them and say, I'm here and I'm going to help you and I'm qualified to do this. But if it gets out of my qualifications, I know enough to be able to get out there, get the resources, and bring them back to you.
And I love that humility, because it's like, I think that I've been in sales and customer service for 17, 18 years now, dealing with people. And I've seen people that's like, yes, they have credentials, but they use those credentials as a way to like puff themselves up, if you will, like to make themselves seem grandiose.
No, I use them to just make peace with myself.
Yeah.
That I know that I am doing everything that I can, and the same with my team.
Awesome.
But in this industry, there are people out there that will meet families and say, "Oh, you need to be placed," or you need to, living in your home is no longer advantageous to you. I said that whole word perfectly.
Good job.
Go.
You said a smart
person. I was
person
going to
word.
finish it.
Yeah.
And it could be because of a health decline. It could be because of a health incident, a cognitive decline,
family circumstance, whatever.
It could be because a spouse died and maybe the other spouse is still independent, but they're declining because they're now alone.
That's what happened to my grandma.
Yeah, so it could be independent.
Within a year or two after my grandma.
And we see that a lot, okay? Yeah. But there's also other options for us and my team. So the thing is I treat people how I want to be treated, and I wouldn't want a moment in time, something that's happened, to define the rest of my path.
Yeah.
So for my team and I, the advocate part comes out when we get somebody that calls and says, okay, my mom can't live at home alone anymore. She's losing weight. She's not making much sense. She's not getting out, blah, blah, blah. And we think she needs to move to assisted living. And I will say, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's go through proper assessments. And I want to meet them. Because the thing is that maybe because all the family around is so stressed out, the sandwich generation, everybody's doing their thing, and now we don't know what to do with grandma. So I need to meet with grandma and be like, okay, what's going on here? Right. And what do you want? What does she want? Even somebody with cognitive impairment has a desire of what they want.
I am so happy that you do that, because they are still a person.
Yes.
And I think that, like, I can't remember what it was, but a family friend of mine, like they really appreciated. They went out to like eat or something. Like it wasn't even anything important, but the fact that they actually like looked at them as a person and said, "What do you think?"
Yes.
You
have to.
What do you want?
Treat people how you want to be treated.
Shocker, right?
Do you ask a 4-year-old, like, what would you like to eat? Or do you just, like, for some reason, and I don't mean to, I'm not comparing little children to seniors.
Oh, no, of course.
But what I am comparing is that we as in the middle people, right? For some reason, we do so much more for our children, asking them what they want. How do they want things to go? When we're researching a preschool, you wouldn't just pick one down the street because it's close to you.
Right.
Go, let's just put little Billy there. Mm-hmm. You're going to vet. You're going to go in. You're going to talk to everybody. You're going to do your due diligence. And if you have to put little Billy in a school that's 10 miles away because it's better, you'll sure as hell do it.
Oh, absolutely.
But with seniors, then all of a sudden, everybody doesn't do that anymore.
Just put them wherever they fit.
And so we could go, but to get back to your question, so for us, we'll go in with the family and we'll go and we start peeling back the layers of the onion. Like, what is really needed here? And what is our least restrictive, most appropriate next steps?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is exploring placement options. And we do that. We're boots on the ground, face to face, go through the assessments, financial, medical, cognitive, sustainability. We're there through the entire process with them, face to face. Even my clients that come from another state into the state, we do a Zoom call. We do whatever it takes to be able to make a connection and work with the family to do our honor to them in the next steps of what their next chapter is. So in our industry, there's a lot of people that don't do that because the things that we're doing, sometimes it doesn't end up in a placement, which means that we get no financial compensation. Sometimes we go in and we help them get resources in the house. We help them with proper safety items in the house and maybe caregiving, and maybe we start looking at, going to a multi-generational center to get out and about. Sometimes we bring in caregiving. There's a whole bunch of things that we can do, and all of that work that we do does not garner us any financial compensation. So unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there that are in the industry that work with seniors that their whole focus is, okay, you got a place. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? How much do you have?
Because that makes them the money.
Because then they get the compensation. And so unfortunately, then I end up, and I get called out a lot on Facebook, and not just me now. Now my team does, which I love, because I don't want all about you placement and senior resources to be Kerri Ann. It was, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be Sandy, the other Kerri, Lainey, Phaedra, Deidre, Denise. I want it to be them. I want it to be us as a collective unit.
You're leaving a legacy at that point, I feel like. You're not
leaving
behind.
It's all of us together. It's not just me.
You're not leaving, but like it's like, oh great, there's Kerri Ann, and that's awesome. Yeah. But it's like I feel like I want to leave something behind that has changed people's lives.
Yes, and I want to leave something I want, and my team wants to leave something behind that changes the industry.
Beautiful.
Just like I said,
Beautiful.
is that for us, we meet seniors and their families wherever they're at to help them with proper resources. Even if I get tons of phone calls from people that are like, hey, Kerri, my mom's in the hospital and she needs to go to skilled nursing rehab and I don't know the next step. I'm like, great, I'm here. And we go through that. And that may be all I do, is that I help them with the next step of a proper skilled nursing rehab, strategies to get through that successfully, and just support them. And then they're on their way. And then they may call me in a year or two and say, hey, I need this. I love that. That's what I want this to be. And my team and I all signed on for it. So there's a lot of work that we do that has nothing to do with us garnering a compensation for it, and that's okay, because that's what I wanted this to be. So it's just growing and growing, and yes, the placement arm of what we do does fund the company, but what I'll say is that all the work that I've done, and now that my team is doing, that garners us no compensation. And I've had people send me checks. I've had people say, I need to pay you. And I'm like, no, I mean,
really?
Basically what it is that the way that they can honor me and what we're doing and grow our mission is that if what I've done, even if it's a phone call of guidance, if what I've done or my team has done has benefited you in any way, how you can repay us is that if anyone you know has any questions, needs any resources about their senior loved one, then send them our way. And because we've done this over all these years, then it has built the other side of the business to help me build the business, to grow a team and to grow a business. So I just feel like that's the right thing to do. And so
incredible.
Well, I just think it's the right thing to do. And it's proven itself we've grown. And we're growing.
Exactly.
And we're growing the way I wanted it to be. So I wanted this business to grow organically on its own, not in the industry. Like
what do you mean by that?
A lot of folks that are in the senior industry. So my background is hospice and home health and mobile physicians, and
you're very familiar with that world.
All of that world, and nothing against any of that. Okay, this has nothing to do. Oh my gosh! I mean, I have dear friends, and I mean, I am so blessed with the toolbox of people that have become my friends that help our families. But the senior industry, just like any industry, has its stuff. And I saw it. I saw the relationships that would give referrals to people for this reason or that reason. Right. And it wasn't always in the best interest of the family, or they didn't give them options, or they guided them a direction that suited them as opposed to the family.
Right.
And so for us, I didn't want to be in that arena. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to build grassroots. I wanted to be with people like myself, like my mom, like my sister, when we were going through what we were going through with my dad, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what to ask if you don't know what to ask. Mm-hmm. And so that whole thing is what sits inside of me, and that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the chambers. I wanted to be in the community. Yeah. I wanted to find out what are the resources that are really digging in and helping families, and I want to be there. The way you do that is by digging into the community and being there, not just being a chamber member by name.
Yeah.
Like literally by going through leadership, by hundreds of hours of participating and digging in and being a part of things, by picking a cause and putting your money and your time and your effort and your energy to it. And getting to those people when they go, you know what? You need to call Kerri Ann, or you need to call All About You, because
you're top of mind.
Well, because we're helping them and empowering them. And in the industry, I don't see that happen as much. I see people, I mean, all the time, I get called to hospitals or whatever, and they're like, what's a sniff? The doctor keeps saying that my mom's going to go to a sniff. What is that? Why doesn't someone take time to explain that? That a SNF is a skilled nursing facility, it's a rehab, it's the next step after the hospital. Why does a family have to be spun out about 3 letters that somebody didn't take the time to tell them?
They get stuck using jargon as opposed to.
And I understand it. I get it. But, that's the other thing. I mean, hospitals and doctors and skilled nursings, they're all a business. Yeah. And believe me, when something happens to me or my family, we're sure as hell heading straight to the doctor, right?
Same.
But, and I respect all of that. But I also know that it gets so big and so large that people get spun in the middle of it. And it can be overwhelming. And that's what I want my team and I to be. I want us to be the calm in the storm. I want us to be present, to be that caring voice on the other end of the phone, to be that person that says, you know what, you just called me about your mom and I want to meet her. I never want anybody to help me that didn't take the time to meet me face to face.
Beautiful.
To get to know me and my family and to get to know what our mission is and what we need. And sometimes we say the unpopular things because we're not right in the middle of the storm. Yeah. But our job at All About You is to never let financial anything stop somebody from getting a support.
Beautiful.
From getting a resource, from getting somebody that cares, for getting somebody that loves seniors. Yeah. Like, seniors are my jam. Like, I love them. And when families call and go, oh no, you have no idea, my dad's a toughie, I'm like, I can't wait to meet him. Because there's a reason. And you know what? I want for our team, I keep saying we want, as a collective unit at All About You, is we want to be advocates, we want to be friends, we want to be support, we want to be the people that say the tough things. We want to be the people that walk the journey with them. And we want seniors and their families to understand, no matter how bad it is, choices you make are not getting you closer to death, but they're getting you closer to the next chapter of your life. And it's reframing and it's educating and it's going through the tough stuff with our families. And that's the big thing. In honor of Paul Anthony Carmody, my daddy, and of his beautiful wife, my mommy, Franny, who was his first, last everything, and my sister, and my nieces and nephews, and my children, and everybody in our family that ever was a part of our lives. Like, if he's not going to be here for her, for us, for everything. And selfishly, he was my best friend. And he was, like, even to this day, 15 years later, I'll be in my car and I'll think of something and I'll be like, I need to call Daddy. And I'm like, no. Gosh. And then now what I do is I go, okay, I'm going to tell you, and I just talk in my car and look like a crazy person. But if all of that is going to be, then for me, Kerri Ann, not Sandy or anybody else, they have their thing. I want this to grow into something that becomes what people should expect when their seniors are struggling. When someone comes to you, this is what you should expect. This 100%. Level of training, this level of heart, this level of engagement, this level of caring, this level of resourcing. Bringing proper resources to somebody and being real with them about what is this industry. Growing that and growing a team of that is what I feel is just going to honor the pain that we went through and make it something good. Yeah. Like, it was so bad for so long, and now it's make it something good. In his name, fuel. In all of their honor, and for every senior, and for every family member that has a senior that they love that's struggling. We all struggle.
Absolutely.
Like, I struggle with what's for dinner. When I get that call, I just want to tear my eyes out. And I finally just had to get to the point where I can't do everything. So I have a company that makes homemade dinners, and I order them, and they come to the house, and so we all need help every now and then.
Oh, absolutely. No, and you touched on so many amazing things, honestly. Like, you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, my mind's going a mile a minute. Like, I'm thinking about the amazing passion and genuineness that you have and how that has directly translated into your success. But then also you look at everything that you just outlined. I could like pick this apart and put together an informational video on how you need to structure your business. You talk about getting out in the community, doing research, to talk like all of these different things. You talk about establishing trust in what it is that you are doing with people so that they know that they are getting the value that you are portraying, right? And so it's like all of these different things that can apply to any business, right? And this is why you were nominated for Best Businesswoman of the Year, correct?
Well, yes.
And
yes.
you got
I was very proud of that. But
Best Business of the Year, is that correct?
Yes, I was nominated for in Town of Gilbert Chamber Businesswoman of the Year. And I didn't win that, but an amazing woman won it, and I was just proud to be a part of that group. But we did win Small Business of the Year in Gilbert, which is
What an honor.
And you know what? We were nominated for Emerging Business of the Year here in Queen Creek, and I will tell you, those things are so amazing to me. Like the whole thing is that to bridge that gap and get and have that even just nomination, you know what, it meets our goal. And the thing is that having that recognition by people I honor so greatly, like towns and cities that we honor, it makes other people go, what is that business?
Yeah.
Like, what is all about you? And that's what I want. I want people to know that there are people like us out there. Now, there are people that do placement that I am good friends with that are amazing people.
Yeah.
So it's not everybody that's out there is not doing, because I mean, I've got mentors and dear friends that do what we do, and I honor them greatly. But my whole thing was to get what we do and the right people out to the general public. And these like community honors that we are given, it makes people go, what is this?
Yeah.
And that's what I want. I want people to know that there are people out there like us to help them.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so that just like, it just adds to the mission of like so being honored by people.
I love that.
Putting us out there like that.
The validation I would imagine that comes from that has got to be great.
Well,
it's like
hard,
I'm
it's
doing
hard
the
for
right
me
thing,
to, like,
you know?
it's hard. It's very embarrassed. Like, I can't think of, it's embarrassing to me. That's a silly word. But I don't do well with that stuff because I just feel like we're doing what our passion is. But
not for recognition.
No, but to get recognized is
it's nice.
Just amazing. Like, when Kim sent me the email from the Emerging Business of the Year, I ignored it. Because I just thought it was like, yeah, I'm going to that event. Like, I didn't think it had anything to do with us.
Oh, you thought it was just like an invite to...
And it was so like, funny. No, like, this is...
I love that.
Because I just didn't think about that.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, those things are so cool. And again, it's not just me. It's this team. Because I could not do what I'm doing without the team that I have. They are all, honestly, they're better than me in a lot of ways, and I'm okay with that.
No, I think that's great.
I am such a believer in you hire and bring on people that are better than you and not be fearful of it, and I have done that, and they are holding me to task.
Love that.
They are teaching me, and they are helping build this passion that we all have. And I'm so honored with that. And, I think some stress that I have is that I put stress on myself that I need to be better for them because they signed on with me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not good, and if I don't put my big girl panties on when I'm feeling upset or down or like I want to quit, then I am dishonoring them and all of their families because they've all decided to be on this ride with me.
Beautiful.
And that helps me a lot get through it.
No, I think that's amazing. And oh my gosh, like I wrote down several things of like to revisit and go over, and we could go for hours again, just just because, I mean, I love talking to you in general, just because we're buddies.
Yeah.
But just so many amazing things and amazing lessons that you've learned. But we're getting to the end of our time here, and just to kind of land the plane, you had referenced before some struggles and difficult things that you've been through. One of my favorite segments that we do is called the Positivity Prize Fighter Moment. You know, life does not pull punches. There are no, like, well, let me wait till you get through something to hit you with the next thing. Sometimes it's, you know, one right after the other, and it can really knock us on our butts, and it can be difficult. So the imagery there with the prize fighter is that you don't lose by getting knocked down, you lose by not getting back up, right? So that's what positivity is in my mind. It's not this, you know, unrealistic optimism. It's getting back up and fighting. Can you go into, you talked about why you're doing what you're doing, and this really, really moved me. It was like an amazing positivity prize fighter moment. You'd mentioned your dad. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm very protective of that with my family and with him. And, you know, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we made the best decisions that we could. And unfortunately, he ended up leaving us way too soon. And through the time after that, what we learned is that we didn't know what we didn't know. And we all have to sit with that. And each of my sister, my mom, and I went on our own journeys of going through the process of losing him way too soon.
Yeah.
And what that meant. And I can't speak for them, you know, I can speak for myself. And it devastated me. And I know it did them too. I mean, it was,
of course,
you know, but for me personally, it made me really reevaluate everything in my life. Because when something like that happens, you don't get a mulligan.
Yeah, oops, let me do it over.
You don't get a do-over. And I had to wrestle with a lot of personal things that, you know, my life changed a lot after that. You know, there was a lot of tough decisions that I had to make. There was a lot of self-reflecting that I had to go through. And that path that I say is that things happened that I had to do this, and I had to do that, and I had to do this. And I look back and realize that that was just steps towards where I am now. And so before, my whole passion had a lot of sadness in it to just make things right for people, for him, and in honor of him and my family, my mom, my sister, our family. And now what I've done is that now I look at it and I think, anybody that knew my dad was a big 6'6" Irish, amazing, lived life. Like one of his friends sent a poem after and said, "This was your daddy," and sent it to us. And it was, if God had meant you to go through life perfect when you came to him, no, he meant you to go through life tattooed, tattered, torn, yelling, "Woohoo, that was a great effing ride." And he said that was your dad, and it was.
Oh,
my
awesome.
dad was larger than life, and he was good and bad and all, you know, he was all the real things, you know, because when people die, all of a sudden they become perfect. My dad was not perfect, but his imperfections were freaking amazing and awesome and taught us all everything. And his good stuff was, you couldn't get enough of it. So that sadness, now I look and I go, you know what? I'm going to make this something that he's going to be so proud of, and it's got to be larger than life because he was.
Oh, I love
and
that.
So now I've been able to change that perspective to go, you know what? This is going to be something big and wonderful and loud and crazy. And me and my team are going to sit back and go, what a wonderful effing ride when this is done.
No, I love that. And I think that that's amazing that you took this experience that yes, for a while, like it's again, like positivity doesn't mean that you have to be smiling when you're feeling pain. Like take the time to feel it, to give yourself that.
Yes.
You know, and it's not even like, well, like you take a break and, you know, it's almost like we view that as like from a place of weakness.
Yeah.
But it is so important that you give yourself that time to feel, because when you do that and you let yourself get in there and say, yes, this is this heart-wrenching thing, I think that later on, when you finally get to that point where you can turn it into a positive, you now have perspective.
Yes.
Where you can say, no, that feeling that I had that was intense and raw and just huge in your life can now be intense, raw, and huge in the motivation that you have moving forward.
I learned a lot about myself. I feel like I'm at 54 years old, I feel like I'm getting to be the best of who I'm supposed to be. Awesome. On the beginning end of it.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a lot of years. And I'm thankful to my daddy in heaven for being that person, and my mom sticking around to be that wind beneath my wings, for lack of better words.
No, 100%.
And my family for supporting. Yeah. Because honestly, I told you this, is that, you know, this has not been easy. And I came out of this year going, I had a pretty successful year because I'm still married. My kids are good.
Yeah.
I have some friends, and the business is growing, and there's no major things, but my life didn't fall apart, so that's a success.
That's a win. You gotta recognize those wins, right?
Yes.
Take them where you can.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's such a beautiful principle in itself. Kerri Ann, we have just loved having you. You are just absolutely awesome, and
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, every time I see you, I don't know if I've told you this, but every time I see you, I just get this infusion of light and love that I can feel it coming from you, and it just makes my day.
Thank you.
So just love you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of you guys, if you want to talk to Kerri Ann about what it is that she does, if you are kind of going through some of this, or you just have questions, she just told you she is open for those questions to make sure that you guys get the help that you need, and that those loved ones that you have that are in that next chapter get the help that they need. So we'll make sure that we put your contact info in all of this so that you can get a hold of her.
Thank you.
And listening to her journey and listening to all the things that she's overcome, remember that trial that you're going through can be used as fuel going forward, and that makes that passion that you have for that next thing that you're doing that much more potent and that much more powerful. So give that to yourself. Give yourself some grace, and know that with that trial comes growth. You know, when you're going through hell,
you come out the other side.
You got to keep going.
Yeah, you do.
I love that. You know, that's one of the things that I love that somebody had said, is that when you're going through hell, just keep going.
Yep.
You'll get to the other side, and I promise you'll be better for it. And all that crap that you needed to leave behind will be burned off, and you'll be this better, brighter person because of it. Amen. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.